Welcome to another episode of the Armchair Pundits podcast. And as you can see, we all look a bit different today. Don't have the usual guys with me. We've got a little special going on, a Liverpool special. When it's Liverpool, it's always special. So it's all good. With me, we've got Wiley. Those of you who've watched me for a while, you've seen Wiley coming here before. Welcome back, bro.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure. We've also got Buddy. And those of you that saw me on the Empty Podcast, which you will have seen Buddy and Wiley on it as well, or Wileycat DJ, sorry. You'd have seen him on there as well. And you've also got Mr. Wolf, who will be new to you. Yep, shout out your podcast and where it can be found.
Yeah, ESN on all platforms, and we had the pleasure of having Wileycat just yesterday. So I'm not sure when this one gets put out, but our one will be out on Tuesday, audio podcast. But very happy.
Cool. So some people on my normal podcast have labeled this as an emergency meeting. It's not an emergency meeting.
A summit.
It's just a talk amongst friends on how we feel Liverpool have fared so far this season, from the highs of the transfer window and people, some, not all, regarding it as the best transfer window ever, to 10 games in, being memed. So, we'll talk about the good, we'll talk about the bad. But to start off, where else other than to start than the summer transfer window? So, Wileycat, what was your view on the transfer window? I'll ask you all first before I start it, because everyone did this at some point. Out of 10, what did you rate the transfer window?
I rated it
when it was closed.
I rated it a 9. I'm not even going to try and front. The only thing I felt we missed out on, which we didn't get, obviously, was a centre-back in Gay, but I rated it a 9. I thought the business we did, considering the years of... We talked about this, I think, last season, about the underinvestment in the squad. The squad was heavily invested in. Every signing we made was a potential great player. So I couldn't see anything negative in any of the things we did, apart from we didn't get the centre-back who would be challenging Konate. That was my only concern. But apart from that, getting Leone in, I thought was a good deal. Verts, obviously, brilliant deal. Isak, brilliant deal. Frimpong, I thought it was good because we got a right-back. Ultimately, we needed to get a right-back because of what happened with Trent. And obviously, the left-back situation, it was good to have someone to be challenging with Robertson. So I rated it a 9. I was very happy with the window. Can't lie. I was very happy with the window.
Same question to you, Buddy.
I want to say 9. However, I'm going to say 8, 9. And the reason being is I was doing I was looking at the window and I was doing it with one of my friends. Unfortunately, he's an Arsenal fan. But yeah, I was doing it with one of my friends and I said to him, we was just going tit for tat. What do we need? What do we want? Etc. Etc. And when I look at what we needed, how much of the what we needed did we get, and how much of it was what we wanted? Like everybody would love to sign a Messi, a Ronaldo, a top player. You always want the top players. And I looked at, is that something that we needed at the time? When I think to myself, I suppose in hindsight, where we are now, and I kind of look at it and think to myself, I would have preferred you to fill certain holes, aka the defense, missing out on Gay. That was probably was a lot bigger than what all of us could have thought of at the time. And not getting a centre back, probably not getting enough cover for a defensive sided midfielder to cover Gravenberch. That would have also been a good move if we did that in the window. We was obviously all excited about the Isak, the Ekatike, the Verts, like all of the signings, amazing signings, and something I suppose from a Liverpool's perspective, we ain't witnessed that. I spend that type of money in one window. It was amazing to watch. It was one of the most enjoyable windows I can say out there.
Mr. Wolf?
Yeah, I agree. First of all, Wileycat, when you're lifting up your mug, make sure that the crest is at the front, bro. Come on.
Sorry, brother.
Yeah, that's better.
Rookie mistake. And I got a large up Buddy, you know.
because we banter him in that Liverpool group for the past 5, 6 transfer windows, 7 transfer windows, because he's always got this fantasy football team going on in his head, and we're thinking, come on, bruv, this is not realistic. Liverpool don't do this. And lo and behold, the actual list of players that he predicted or that he wanted, obviously he's done that for about 7 or 8 transfer windows. And this is just an example of what you put out there will actually come to pass at some point in time. So it's about being positive and having a positive mindset, and what you put out is what you're going to get back in. So in terms of the players that we did get some good quality players. And I would rate the window similar, like an 8/9. And for me, I would say it is the best window that we've ever had. Do you know what I mean? We came short in a centre-back, and people are going to look at the centre-back situation and think, if Gay was here, things would have been different. I don't think it would have made a difference, if I'm being totally honest. I think that, yes, Konate would have maybe been dropped, and Gay would have maybe cemented his place in the starting lineup. But I think we still would have had major problems in terms of set plays and things like that, and the cohesion of the team, and a bit of luck here and there and what have you. But all in all, I would say that the window, I'd say, was a good 8, 9 out of 10. We've always wanted the club to spend money on quality players, and I do think that we spent money on quality, on real quality. That the unfortunate thing is that not all of them have hit the ground running, and that is not a first for Liverpool players, by the way. When you think about Fabinho, Robertson, Gravenberch last season, even Sloboslai that I mentioned recently. So there's a few players that have come in, but the good thing about that is that they've come into a stable team with players on form that have allowed them to kind of, find their feet over time and it not be that much of a big deal. But because all the media and everybody's focused on the amount of money that we spent, the amount of players that we've brought in, it's become much more of a big deal. And there's a lot of memes out there and people taking liberties and people wanting to see our downfall. But all in all, window was a good one for me, an enjoyable one. Just like what Buddy said.
For me, it was a 9 when we closed the window, but I always felt we were too short, not just one. My issue was, yes, Gahey, should he have been signed? And if not Gahey, should we have allowed ourselves to get to the last day and not pivot to someone else? We always hear them say, we have our number one choice. If we don't want that person, then sometimes we wait. But I always felt that there was someone else out there that we could have got. And then my other issue was with Diaz going, we needed someone of his ilk. Didn't have to be just as good as him, but we needed someone that had speed. We lost our speed up front. We lost our trickery, someone that did something off the cuff. The wingers we have now, because of Mo's age and because of Gakpo being Gakpo, they're both guys that are technically basic at what they do. What they do extremely well, but you don't get that. You don't get as much magic from Mo as we've seen before. You don't really get much magic from Gakpo. So, but I'm not going to sit here and say I wasn't extremely happy when the window closed, and I didn't predict that we'd win a double this season, Champions League and the Premier League, because the players we brought in, I thought they were of the quality that we needed. But what I didn't foresee is how they'll be used at the start of the season. So I'll say a little bit, and then I'll leave the rest to you guys. But the issue I had with how the flaws have emerged was I never expected Kirkis to come in and play the first 9 Premier League games and Robbo to sit on the bench for the first 9. Yes, a lot of people complained about Robbo's performances last season and said that we need a new left back. But when you're bringing a 21-year-old that's coming from Bournemouth, it's a big step up coming to Liverpool. And for him to be thrown in all those games and Robbo just to be sitting riding bench, I didn't agree with. Wirtz, I can see why you bring him in. McAllister didn't have a preseason. Wirtz is a star signing, and Szoboszlai can play deeper. So, okay, bring him in. But then the other issue I had was bringing in Isak straight away. When Ekitike was like the best new signing in the Premier League at the time, realistically. When you looked at all new signings, he was the best new signing in the Premier League. And then all of a sudden, he gets dropped to help Isak find his form. So that was my view on how it started.
To be fair, James, he didn't get dropped. He done something.
Okay, rotated.
He done something stupid, which actually in turn got him dropped because true. He done the celebration, which lost him the place, and then after that was when it was off. But yeah,
true.
Yeah, but I do.
So as you started, continue.
Yeah, I do agree with your point. I mean, my biggest problem with Liverpool right now is, and it only got fixed this weekend, was you got too many new players. We won the league with a certain set of players. You then bought about 6 signings and you put them all into the first team and said, "Go on, win me another league." And I'm like, as great as these players are, you've now created a new team, and that's where my problem lies. It's a case of you shouldn't be in a situation where you've taken out so many players. Robinson, you're right. That's the first one I said. I said, no, Robinson should stay. Partly because he knows how to play with Van Dijk. Partly because it's at least keeps 3 of the back 4 still alive. Then you turn and say to yourself, well, look, you know what? You got either Bradley or you're gonna have Frimpong. They're fighting it out for whatever play for the Trent Alexander-Arnold spot, which is already gone. All right, so one of them was going to get it. Bradley, some people were saying should start because it's consistency. Frimpong, some people thought should start because they felt he was better. And I'm fine with either one. But Robinson should have definitely started. But again, it's hindsight because I suppose originally I would have probably said Kirkes because he's played in the Premier League. He's got Premier League experience. He should be able to be up for it. After a few games, I realised to myself, no, put Robinson back, please. And then afterwards, integrate him, like Yemi said, like Wolf said, basically put him in there so he can integrate himself slowly. In the midfield, too much change again. You put Szoboszlai out, put him at right back, put him all over the place, and again trying to fit in Wirtz didn't work, and that was a mess. So that didn't work for me. I said just go back to the old midfield because at the moment nobody seems to know where everybody else plays, and they're all over the place. So that was a problem with the forward line when you're looking at Gax and you're looking at Salah and you're looking at Ekitike. I'm happy with that. If Isak comes in, I'm also happy with that. I still want to see Isak play up front with Ekitike, to be honest with you. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing and see how it works. They've only done it once, but I want to see how it actually works, if it can work. Outside of that, I think these players will come good. I just think they've gone through a tough time, a bad October, which I said to Mr. Wolf before. You know what I mean? I feel like the jinx is done now. The October's over. We didn't win a game in October, like apart from the Champions League. So we didn't win a game in this country in October. So I'm saying, look, it's done now. November, first win. Let's go now.
I'm definitely not the superstitious type. You get me? Definitely not. Yeah, but I think I think you both raised some good points there. In hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I think that King James, you may have maybe 3 people here that are a little bit too, I don't know what the word is, but wise in the way that we're going to approach this. So ain't nobody really going to be arguing with anybody on the points that they're raising. But I would agree with the fact that Robertson should have maybe started the season, and then just to bring Kirkes in game by game, and then make him earn his right to take the spot. Do you get what I mean? As opposed to just flinging him in there. Yes, he's got Premier League experience, but I think it's very easy for us to now point at the reasons why. You know, we haven't done X, Y, and Z. I do think that the left back position has been one of the many reasons why we're in this situation. The turnover of 5 or 6 players, that again is another reason. And everybody trying to find their feet and trying to understand how to play with each other. And then for me, like the fundamental thing with us losing the amount of goals that we are losing is us not really being having that supreme concentration at the back. That's the kind of thing that I remember that we had with Rafa, yeah. And when Klopp spoke of mentality monsters, his idea was more these guys. their focus game by game, even less than that, minute by minute in every single game is top tier. So things like the Mbeumo goal, these are little mistakes, all small mistakes that you make when you haven't got supreme focus. And it could be seen as mental fatigue, maybe, but I just can't really put my finger on it. The set play things, we've got two tall centre backs, and but when you look at the set play issues and the way that we've lost our goals, the ball has gone into the centre. It's kind of gone past the central defenders and it's landed towards the fullback area or the back post where you expect the fullback to be able to do what they're doing. And you've had Robbo, you've had Kirkes, and you've had Bradley and Frimpong all make mistakes in that area. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, I think that there's a lot of us to. There's a lot of things that we can point our fingers on, but I think that ultimately, if we don't have our players that are focused at the back during these moments, then we're always going to be conceding goals. Last season, we had the best defence in the league. Do you know what I mean? We had the best defence in the league before we kind of switched off in the last 2 or 3 games. And then Arsenal, and we conceded a few goals. But outside of that, in the first, I think, 10 or 12 games, we conceded about 4 goals. Yeah. And funny enough, that's what the North London lot are doing now, which is amazing.
You know what? You're saying it right, but for me, all it is familiarity. And as soon as he starts putting Mac 10, Gravy, and Dominic Szoboszlai, or Dominate as I call him, into the middle and leaves it like that, they're familiar with each other. I want to see Wirtz play. As a fan, I want to see Wirtz play because I think he's an amazing footballer. But I can't put him in the team right now because you take out Mac 10 because I don't think he's as good as Gravy and Dominic. All right, I take him out and then I want to put in Wirtz, but I then lose the super press that Dominic gives us. So then I've got to sit there and say to myself, well, boy, for the fundamentals of the team that we're building, and the best example I can give you is the Liverpool team that Klopp built. And he turned and said his midfield was Henderson, Fabinho, and Wijnaldum. If you go through the Premiership during their season, was they the best midfield combination, like talent-wise? Hell no. But fundamentally, you had your defensive midfielder, you had Henderson, your worker, and you had Gigi Wijnaldum, who was a worker, and he had quality on the ball. Very similar to what we've got now. If you go through what we've got, very similar, and it's like it worked. Fundamentally, it worked. It wasn't it wasn't a De Bruyne. It wasn't those superstars in that team creating stuff and whatever else not that we want. But it fundamentally worked, and that's where I feel to myself, as much as I'm excited about Wirtz and I'm excited about Isak, let's just be fundamentally correct and realize to ourselves, let's have our normal back four, let's have a normal from midfield three. And then let the strikers do their thing at the moment. Ekatike is doing very well. Salah's obviously doing Salah. Gakpo needs to warm up. And I also feel another thing, and I put it out there the other day, and I'm sure we're going to come on to it, King, is Chiesa. Chiesa has been working hard. He's never complained. He's never done nothing wrong. Even when he dropped out of the Champions League squad, never said nothing. Nothing went in the papers. He didn't edge for a move. He came back on. He's played with the kids. He's scored goals. He scored important goals. And then you go and sit on the bench. Now, I don't know whose gal he banged. But he done something, all right? Because right now, Arnie don't like him. I don't care what Arnie says. He don't like him. Because he could have at least taken him off and said, you know what, let's play you into the Gax. Because I feel you deserve a chance for your effort. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is, those things build morale. Because when I'm now going into training, I'm thinking to myself, well, I stand a chance. If I train hard, I stand a chance. I score a goal when I come on as a sub, I stand a chance. But he's scored a goal, he's trained hard, he's kept his mouth quiet, he's got his head down. You still don't stand a chance, bro. Your name's not Gakpo. Your name's not whoever else it needs to be to play on the other side of a wing. And that's not good.
I think for me, the only thing that where I disagree with Mr. Wolf and Buddy is I think Kirkhead should have started the season. I think Robertson ended last season quite poorly. Where I think the manager's got it wrong, though, is by game 3 or 4, you could see Kirkhead wasn't in the same line of thinking as our defence was. So bring back Robertson let Robertson get the games, bring him in as a sub, because he was doing a lot of rash stuff. I mean, the first game, we put it down to, okay, he's playing against his former teammates. Maybe that's why he's playing, diving in, doing the things he was doing. But that's run the course all the way through. And I think ultimately, the manager's got to hold accountability that, you know what, I should have brought Robertson back in again. I also disagree about McAllister. McAllister's, I don't know if he's been having an injury from the back end of last season.
He did.
Through to the pre-season this season. McAllister has been, apart from the game just gone, Aston Villa, McAllister has been really, really poor. And I think there's an element of that where, I don't know if he's been carrying an injury. He had an injury, missed most of the pre-season. He's only just getting into the groove now. So I think it would have been right to put Wirtz in. But Wirtz also needs to be integrated.
You should have put Jones in then. Jones has played.
But that's what I'm saying.
And I'm not a Jones fan.
So what I'm saying is that it would have been right. I mean, if you spent that money on a Wirtz, then by all means, then play Wirtz. But then when it gets to the, okay, Wirtz ain't performing, or it needs to be blended in, bring in Jones, let Jones then become the starter. But the reliance on McAllister, for me, has been a weakness for us because he's been out of form woefully. I don't know if it's injury from the back end of last season.
His wife had a baby as well.
So he missed. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I believe he also missed part of the pre-season. He's just now coming up to speed. So let's see how his performances pick up.
I mean, the biggest point was more to keep familiarity in it, and that's what I'm saying we lacked at the moment. We have to have some kind of familiarity. We have to kind of put it to. It has to be something that you integrate these stars. So I can't wait till Isak's up and running and he's running properly and he's within the team. But you can only do it slowly. At the moment, Ekatike came in and he's gone like a house on fire. I'm like, you look like you've always played for Liverpool, and that's great. You stay there and hold the shirt. And that's what I generally hold the shirt until you don't hold it no more. And your form should always pick up who should be in the team. And at the moment, certain people should be dropped.
Yeah, I hear that. So last point in this segment, and this is a point that Mr. Wolf will be very aware of because he's had a debate about this only last week. Are we short a defensive midfielder? A dominant defensive midfielder that can win the ball back, pass as well. You don't want, because obviously we know we've got Endo, but Endo's problem is he can't pass.
Where did I have that debate?
I thought you had, no, in fact, was it you? I think I thought you might have had it in one of the banter group, one of the WhatsApp groups.
Oh,
yes, I'm pretty sure you had it with someone.
Yeah, it was actually it was in a banter group, the football banter group with Reds and scientists. You know what annoys me is when people talk about my team and they don't really know about my team. Do you get what I mean? It's like you've got one guy. I don't know if they're bantering, and I think you were telling me, James, innit, that I took the bait and, you know, I should have just allowed it, innit? But from when a man is telling me that we should play Endo, and Endo is part of the reason why we're in this mess because he's a defensive midfielder and he's more disciplined and things like that. Now, I think that there's room for Endo, but not as a starter in any way, shape or form. Endo is a good impact player. He can come on in the last 15, 20 minutes and he can, you know, solidify, you know, what we have at the moment, as opposed to, you know, we're getting overrun and we need him to help us. Nah, he's not that guy. Do you know what I mean? And we're very much a team that relies on build-up play. We don't really use that counter-attacking football the way that we really should have, or the way that we did back in the day, you know, because we haven't, like you said, we haven't really got the pace in behind to really make counter-attacking football part of our game now. But yes, contrary to what those guys were saying, I do think that we are short of a defensive-minded midfield player who can play the kind of quarterback position as well as, you know, be a destroyer in midfield as well. You know, so we are very much short of that. I do think that we're short. You know, I do think that we could do with another type of player like that. I don't think Endo is the answer in any way, shape, or form. You know,
He didn't need to come back now.
I disagree.
We tried to get Zubimendi because that was what the manager wanted. That was his first initial look in terms of trying to sign a player. And I think that we still need that type of player because when Gravenberch is not there, we're putting Jones there, who isn't really a number 6. You can't really do that role. To fill in, he can make it happen, but in the long term, it's not really something that he can do. And when you look at what Arsenal are doing right now, Zubimendi is having a massive impact on the things that they're doing. And I think that we're short of that. Do I think that that's the reason why we're having our problems? No. Do I think that that is something that we could do with in the next window or the one after? Absolutely, yes.
I think where I disagree, I think last season we needed a DM. It was apparent. It was 100% we needed a DM. The managers found a solution with Gravenberch. So I would say, and I think I said it in conversations we were talking about in the transfer window. There were certain transfers I thought that was needed. There were certain transfers that I wanted. I wanted a DM who would be a supporting DM for Gravenberch because Gravenberch is officially now our number 1 DM. I think when Gravenberch was injured, though, there's no excuse for not playing Endo in the DM role. Even if Endo doesn't work, though, and the only reason why I say that, he's the only player in that squad who is accustomed to playing that role. If Endo doesn't work, then we can then look at, okay, accommodate it with a Jones, accommodate it with a McAllister or whatever. But if you've got a DM there who is meant to be your backup DM, if your main DM is injured, to keep the stability of and I think Buddy was saying it earlier about the defence, but to keep that stability of the midfield, you've got to make sure that you're playing McAllister in the right position, you're playing Wirtz in the right position, you're playing a Jones or whoever else in the right position. So you accommodate that by bringing in Endo. If Endo doesn't work in one of them games, then you can say, okay, you've had your shot at the number 6, let me find an alternative. But by not playing Endo, you're then moving parts about. And the problem with it is, because we're moving McAllister about, you've then got to move a Wirtz about. You've then got to move a Szoboszlai about. You're just not just moving one player, you're moving everyone to make sure it all fits. And that's why I think the manager should have played Endo as a DM. I can understand why he may not have thought it would have been the right choice to do, but the knock-on effect has been you don't play Endo when we've got Gravenberch injured. You then have to move Szoboszlai. You have to move McAllister. You've got to move Wirtz. Wirtz, that hasn't even settled, has had to play in about 4 or 5 different positions purely because we've had players missing. He's not had his run in his actual role. So that's where I would disagree. But 100% agree. Endo's not a starter. But in this circumstance, we didn't have a covering DM. He should have been brought in to start.
Okay.
But you know that he was brought in a few times last season. So at the times that we didn't have, I think Gravenberch didn't play in certain games. I think it was in the League Cup games or Champions League game here and there, FA Cup game here and there. When he did come in, even in the times that Klopp started him, nah. It's when he came in to impact games that he was very much a key player that people thought, this guy, I can have him coming on. But to start the brother, man.
No, I agree with you. Quality-wise, I agree with you. But where my issue is, the knock-on effect it has, if you're losing McAllister's position, you're losing Wirtz's position, you're losing Szoboszlai's position because you're accommodating someone else to cover. Like when we play Szoboszlai right back, we're losing Szoboszlai going forwards. That knock-on effect doesn't need to happen if you just put a Gomez there. I mean, I'm sure we'll touch on to that later as well.
Yeah.
But just for that DM position, particularly for the DM, I think that Endo, I mean, what's the worst that could have happened? We would have lost the games. We were losing games anyway. So you have to try and go back to basics, put people back in their positions. And look at that. Gravenberch comes in against Villa. Everyone is now playing their positions. It's not a surprise that the setup goes back to what it should be because people are playing
in the previous game
roles. Sorry?
Gravenberch were playing in the previous games that we lost. He was there.
Yeah, he was, but he was carrying that injury in it, and then he got injured and knocked out. I can't remember the game he got injured in properly, but from that game he was injured.
He started all those games that we lost at DM.
Didn't he? He was out.
Missed
What
one.
game was that for? He was out.
Missed one.
Games,
Miss Brentford, I think it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I beg to differ with the Endo thing. I feel to myself, if sometimes if you're going to change certain things, right? Endo's not a bad player, and I've watched him. I've watched him obviously on TV like everyone else, but I've also watched him live, and I've seen some of the things he does, like not on camera. And I think to myself, there's a player there. He's a good player. I mean, he's old in age, in football terms, but he's a very good player. And I feel to myself, there's certain times if you feel like you needed to solidify your midfield, why have you not turned and said to yourself, you know what, let's play Endo and Gravenberch in the midfield with a Szoboszlai or with a McAllister, maybe less so with a McAllister.
Yep.
But why have you not now said, you know what, let's just try and play two holders. Gravy's got the energy to go up and down. Endo will hold, so it gives Gravy a bit more license as well. Maybe that can work. All right, and maybe then if you even want to play a Wirtz, you've now got the option to say, yeah, Wirtz, I can say, look, these two are not going to get in your way, because sometimes one of the things that England have a problem with as well, all right, as a football club, it would be like they've got so many good players, they try to play them all at the same time. The Gerrard and Scholes and Lampard argument. You can't play them all because they're all running in each other's spaces. They've got the same thing going on with Foden and Bellingham. Foden's a good player, all right. If you can't play Foden, Bellingham, and Palmer, it don't work. You choose one. It's going to be at the moment. Bells is the best one out of them. You play Bells. You know what I mean? It's hard to turn and say, well, that means Palmer or Foden's going to hold a bench, but they got to hold a bench. And it's the same thing Liverpool got to look at right now, where Szoboszlai is for what he brings to the team. Unfortunately, we have to bench Wirtz. That's just the truth of it. And then everybody's these ideas that people are putting out there. Well, maybe if we put Wirtz on the left wing so he can play where Gravenberch is playing, or maybe we should play. The truth of the matter is, right now he don't get in the team because of the way that we need to play, because of the way that the Premiership is built. There will come a time when Wirtz is built the same way Coutinho was doing his thing. There will come a time where that happens, but that time's not now. And like I said, the Endo argument for me, I don't see where he doesn't get a look in. Again, if he's playing well, I feel like he should get a start.
Okay. You've moved us on nicely to the next topic, and part of that is Arne Slot's tactics and team selection under scrutiny. We've really done some of the scrutiny just now, but it's the tactics and the man himself. A lot of people have asked me, what's the problem? And I said, there is no simple answer for the problem. But an issue that a lot of people thought was going to be the case last year, but it wasn't because we won a title, has reared its head this season. And that's Slot's managerial experience. Because he's won a title, people forget that, yes, he's been a manager for 6 years, but he's still relatively green at the job. He's hasn't really experienced much loss in terms of, this season was the first time he'd ever faced back-to-back league defeats in 6 years as a manager. Did he win the league every year in Holland? No. But whenever he lost a game, he won the next game. He won the next game. That kind of thing. Did he have the right people around him, manager-wise, that when he's in a funk like he is now, can they bring him out of it? That's when you start getting the weird stuff you heard in press conferences. Is there someone speaking to him saying, listen, you can't be saying stuff like that? So when you look at Slot, do you sometimes forget, or do you think it's not an excuse that he is still a relatively young manager? Yes, he's managing at Liverpool, so put your big pants on. But is it a case where we now need to realize, okay, this adjustment is going to take time because he's literally facing something he's never ever faced his managerial career. So it's all new to him.
Can I ask you, sorry, James, just to go back a little bit, I want to get you what your point of view is on Endo before we move on.
Oh, and Endo?
Yeah.
He tried
to escape that one.
Yeah, man. I don't know what you think.
Endo is a horses for courses. I agree, in certain games he should have been utilised. Because there was games where we knew going into it, it's going to be tough, it's going to be a battle, and we didn't have battlers out there. So when you're going to battle, listen, our main issue has been and was through these losses, which we'll go into further, was we were losing the battle midfield. Teams are going long ball, headers, we win the headers, but what happens? We lose the second ball, we lose the third ball. And as much as it annoys me at times that Endo's first touch is sometimes a pass, he wins the ball back for us. And he often gets a quick pass and we go forward. So we missed that. In that spell where we were losing, he should have been tried. Last year was last year. Sometimes it didn't work, but it's a new team now, new system. It might have even worked with Verts. Verts might have been able to be a bit more free because he had Endo behind him, knowing, okay, that guy's going to tackle anything. And that's what he does. He tackles everything and anything. And then it allows him to be a bit free and play his natural game and not have to worry about the collisions that he's facing now, because the football in the Premier League is a second quicker than it was in Germany. So I think Endo should have been used in that 6-game spell. And it's disappointing that he wasn't, because I don't want it to be a case where we do it again and then we have to use him. So hopefully he wasn't used and it doesn't matter anymore. But if you have someone of that skill set, then use him. That's the way I see it. Use him. It doesn't have to be for every game. You put him in. If it doesn't, as Wileycat said, if it doesn't work, you take him off. But at least you've tried it.
Do you know another thing? Like,
At least you've tried it.
What you just said, right, is about Verts and him playing with Verts. You know, when you've got so many good players in a team, sometimes it just doesn't work, because I feel like I have to give you the ball. You feel like you have to give me the ball. I then feel like I can give Wolf the ball. He needs, and it just keeps on. No one's doing what they usually do. It takes one of them. There's one person always in that group that will turn and say, "Look, well, I'm the baddest of the baddest, and I'm give me the ball. I'm going to do what I'm going to do." But then sometimes there are people that will kind of shirk away from it. Coutinho was one of them when he went to Barcelona. Like, it became a point where it was like, whereas he was getting the ball at Liverpool, he got the ball all the time. It was his ball. Like, get the ball to Coutinho, he does something. When he got to Barca, it was a case of he got there and it was like, all right, the rule here is give the ball to Messi. That's the rule. So give the ball to Messi. And he kind of started to feel a bit like under pressure, give the ball to Messi. And you had obviously Iniesta there. You had other great players there. And it was like, oh, well, I'm just here. You know, I mean, I'll do a little something, but I'm just here. And it belittled him. And I'm a bit worried, not worried, feel like that's a little bit of the case at Liverpool at the moment, where I thought about it earlier on, funny enough, about Isak. And again, I'm jumping bare different conversations because I know you're going to get onto it. But I thought about Isak. I thought, he's used to playing for Newcastle, where give him the ball, do something, make it happen. And we're at Liverpool, it's like give him the ball, give it to someone else, go in the box and wait for us to create something for you. It's a totally different mindset. So this is where it's like, someone like an Endo, like we said, have him in the team because he does a job. Like you just said, go and win the ball back, then give the ball to Verts and he'll do something. Your job is win the ball back, give it to him. That's what we want from you.
If you think about when we had our functional midfield, their job was to win the ball back, give it to the front three. Win the ball back, give it to the front three. Occasionally, Wijnaldum would go forward or Milner would drive, but it was literally win the ball back, give it to the front three. And I think we saw that with Verts. The fact that there wasn't a proper DM in that period of time, or we was messing about what we're doing, he was getting deeper and deeper to pick up the ball. When really, you don't want him running with the ball from our half. You want him to be further up. But we'll get to that still. You were talking about the tactics.
The Slot. So what's your view? I've given my view on his youthfulness as a manager, you could say, and his naivety in press conferences. How did you see it?
There's two elements to it. So the element of the naivety in the press conferences, I never liked managers talking like that. I didn't like it when Klopp went on Monday Night Football and started talking all the tactics and giving the tactics board. I think you don't need to do that. I didn't like it when Pep Linders wrote the book. I don't think you need to do none of that. So Slot, for me, just needs to be a lot more tempered with his responses, say very little, keep things very basic, keep it all very, very, as anyone would say, just give the same formulatic answers and keep it moving. Tactically, though, this is no different to what he was doing last season. If you think about it, tactically, we was all praising Slot for reacting to situations in game. So he would have a lot of situations where we might be, behind, we might not be doing well. He would get a lot of credit for the substitutions he'd make and him making those substitutions, bringing in players that would affect and change the game. I don't think he's doing anything different now. What's happening though, the outcomes are not the same. The outcomes are not working for him. So I don't think he's doing anything different. I just think that it's the output of whatever he was now trying to adjust through substitutions, through changing players, changing tactics. It looks like it's all mad when he puts on everybody to go forward and get a goal. But is that any different to when he was doing that last season, putting on all the forwards to get a goal, and we were getting the goals? It's just now it looks mad because our midfield is so vacant. So I don't think it's any different, and I think he will get through it. But he's learning on the job. Like last year wasn't a fluke. Last year was tactically he won the tactics to win the league.
Yeah.
He's just got to get them tactics back. That's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I guess can't say that I disagree with that too much. I think that the changes have been with the players, and what you got to give credit for Slot last season is that he won us a lot of points with his tactics last season. You know, one of the fundamental things that he done is what he said was that he quote unquote is that I'm not going to change too much. You know, this is a team that I'm going to come in. I'm not changing too much, and I think that the change has been forced on him by the amount of players that have left and the amount of players that have come in. Now, when you look at Liverpool's tactics over the past 8, 9, 10 years, it's been goalkeeper to Van Dijk to Trent, start our moves off. Goalkeeper to Van Dijk to Salah. Goalkeeper to Trent. Whatever happens, Trent either finishes off our moves with an assist, or he's got some kind of a pre-assist. Trent has been a fundamental part of our attacks, a fundamental part of starting our attacks, and he has been, in essence, our playmaker. Klopp, I would say that he kind of started this hybrid fullback thing, which everybody is using now. There'll be an argument to say that Pep done it with my man, what's his name now? The fullback that left.
Oh, Cancelo?
Yeah. So there'll be an argument that Pep, maybe they done it together. Whatever the case is, our tactics were based off of Trent starting off a lot of the attacks and then feeding it to the forwards to finish them off. Now that Trent has left, we're basically forced into a new dynamic of playing, and that is part of the reason why we brought in Florian Wirtz to be a major part of our attacks now. Now, obviously, Wirtz hasn't, started as well as we would have liked, and that, for me, is part of the reason why we had an element of imbalance going forward. But I think that we found our balance now. Personally, people are going to talk about how imbalanced we are. There's a lot of people in the football groups that we're in that talks about the balance that has been lost. But I think that we found that balance. In terms of our press, maybe not. Maybe our press could be as good. But in terms of our movement forward and how we create attacks and how we finish off those attacks, I think that we've kind of found our balance again. We scored just as much goals at the same stage last season, believe it or not. Our issue is now conceding the goals. And I went through every single one.
We conceded a lot more.
A lot. Do you get what I mean? And some people are of the idea that the reason why we've conceded a lot of goals is because we're too open. And that hasn't been the case. Out of all the goals that we've conceded this season, I think 3 or maybe 4 of them have come from transition. It's come from a wide open midfield. One of them, or 2 of them, that people will easily remember would be the Caicedo goal in the opening minutes of Chelsea. And the other one was, 2 of them was Semenyo in the opening game. Do you get what I mean? But the rest of them has been stupid mistakes, and the other ones have been set plays. And that's where I'll go back full circle to speak about the concentration levels of the defenders, the fullbacks and the centre-backs. So in terms of the tactics of the manager and the approach, has been forced on him. And also, I think that the balance of our play moving forward has been good. I think that we concede more chances granted, but the goals that we've conceded have been from stupid mistakes and set play errors. And that is a matter of fact. I've written down here every single goal that we've conceded. Yeah, I've done my research, bro. Yeah, all the goals that we conceded. I looked at them, I went through every single one, and I was just like, wow, set play, stupid mistake, lack of concentration, and then a couple of them have come from a wide open midfield. So I think the manager, I think being under pressure, you're going to say certain things, and even our very much charismatic legend of a manager, Jurgen Klopp, said a lot of things that annoyed people, even myself. So when you are under pressure, as calm and as classy as people were saying that Slot was last season, all of a sudden he's not that guy anymore. He's just under a bit more pressure, and I think that he is the right man to move us forward. But a massive responsibility has got to lie on the players that were there from the beginning. Your Gakpos, Salahs, these guys have very much been very much below their expected level. McAllister, and the one that sticks out like a sore thumb is a player that I like a lot, is Konate. Do you get what I mean? So Robertson, although he's come in and some of us has wanted him to be there, I've looked at some of the goals that we've conceded and it's been far post. Robertson has lost his man again. Do you know what I mean? So this has happened on a number of occasions, and you've really got to look at the players that are there from before, the experienced players, the players that have won us trophies. And yes, we want our new players to hit the ground running like your Ekitike. It's not always going to happen. But when you got 5 or 6 players that are below their expected level, you could have Carlo Ancelotti and Rafa Benitez and Jurgen Klopp all in the coaching staff and managing at the same time. It's going to be very difficult to get results when your players are not playing well.
I mean, we saw that last season with Pep and City. If they're not playing well,
there you go.
It's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
It's going to be a problem.
Perfect example.
Has he been stubborn in terms of, you look at the stats, teams Slot? So some people have pointed towards him being stubborn in terms of not making certain changes in terms of long balls. We've conceded 571. Obviously, this is before. In fact, this is since our last game. 571 long balls this season, 50 more than anyone else in the league. And some people, rightly or wrongly, have said the reason why we beat Aston Villa is because they didn't do that. They went and played short ball. They went against what Klopp has been telling people to do.
The same as Frankfurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So should he have found a way to adapt? He said he's trying.
There was a stat that I saw that said that the teams in the league that when they're playing long balls, that the metrics against Liverpool is something like about 30%, 40% more than any other team. Everyone's getting like about, I'd have to see what the stats figures were, but let's say everyone's getting about 20 or something. Liverpool is 50.
Yeah.
And what it's showing is that they're seeing a weakness there. Now, it doesn't help when you talk about the weakness as well. We know people can see it, but you don't need to say, oh, we're struggling with something, because what am I going to do as a manager? I'm going to target the long balls.
So what do you think of his comeback to that? So he said basically, the only reason he said it is because it was blatantly obvious now. So he didn't say it earlier because he didn't want to let other managers know, but when it became common knowledge, then he felt, oh, well, I can say it in press conferences because everyone's doing it anyway.
No, you don't even need to do that. All you just need to do, if people ask the question, we're dealing with it. You move past it. When you highlight where your deficiencies are, you're letting everyone know where to target. And the problem is as well, because Kirkez is so short, Bradley is so short, you lick those long balls across them, it's easy for someone to try and get onto them with a height. Kirkez has been an issue in terms of set pieces because he's not able to beat anybody in the air. So when they're targeting him, it's very easy to get those long balls and knockdowns. And if you then add on the other problem, a midfield isn't winning the second balls, it all makes a perfect storm. But you don't need to add to it by saying anything. You really don't.
I think he's been a little bit naive on that front.
Yes.
He had, I mean, what he said the other day, because I do watch all the press conferences as well. He said we defended 17 set plays by Crystal Palace, and we won 15 of them, and the 2 that we didn't, they scored. So when you hear him say that, I ain't got a problem with that, but he's just highlighting the fact that we're defending them, but when it comes to the crunch, when it comes to the actual moment and the important moments to really solidify a result or to concentrate, we're not being as concentrated as we would like to be. We're not concentrating as much as we should do. And you're talking about the height of the fullbacks. That isn't really the problem. I don't think so anyway. Like, because the ball is coming in, and we may win the first ball. Like we may, like I think Jones won the header against Crystal Palace, and it fell to the back post, and Frimpong didn't manage that situation well enough, and then Nketiah scored the goal. So we're always going to concede throw-ins, we're always going to concede free kicks and what have you. It's just a part of the game. So just like what Wileycat said, that now managers have seen it, that's a weakness. They're going to use that. Just like they saw that our right-hand side was a weakness because Trent was always far up, or maybe he wasn't as good a defender as the other 3. They always used that as a weakness. It's now up to us to be better in every other department, and it's also up to us to do better in that department as well. And I think that's more than possible. I personally think that the fact that we do not concentrate enough is part of the reason why, and concentration levels as well as heart and fighting. We're in a battle. I need fighters. I need warriors now. So you need to put your body on the line. I want to see that John Terry flex where you're getting kicked in the face. Like, that's where we are right now.
Bringing Endo.
Do you think that comes down to personnel, innit? Where, I mean, Kirkheads is up for that type of thing, by the way.
I think Kirkheads is up for that. I think Robbo is up for that. I think, because when I look at Frimpong against, Kirkheads against Arsenal, I thought he was an outstanding. This idea that my man ran him ragged, like he just defended. That's what defenders are there to do, to be taken on and to be in battle with your winger or your opponent. And I think he done really well. And I think that, given games, and I think you spoke about the fact that Frimpong has been injured 3 or 4 times in the past 3 or 4 years, and now he's come. How many games?
8 days in 3 years. 8 days in 3 years he was injured.
And I honestly believe that Frimpong is that guy. I do think he's a good defender. I do think he's up for the fight. I do think that he's got that quality. And in the final third, he's got the pace. And we saw that for 10 minutes against United, that he put in such a great ball that our man Gakpo should have just headed in and equalised it. Sorry to bring back, bad memories and that, but that's just an example. I do think that we've got the players. I don't think the personnel is the problem. I just think that the word that has been used a couple of times is we need to go back to basics. If that means going back to last year's players, so be it. If it means us just doing some of the basic things, then so be it. I think Konate has looked more the player that we're used to in recent games. Win your first header, win your battles, and I don't think it's as complex as what some people are making it out to be. So I'm not pointing the finger.
It definitely isn't when you look at the league table, innit? And you look and you realize yourself, we won 1 game, all of a sudden we were second. And I was like, that turned around real quickly. I was like, all right, win our next game against City, all of a sudden we solidified our second place now. And then we're now the ones chasing Arsenal, and it doesn't look so bad again. They get a draw or get a loss somewhere. All of a sudden, season looks mightily different again. We're now saying, well, we're going to win the league. We can win the league. Like, watch when ESEC comes back. We start talking our crap again. That's the truth of it. It swings over a couple of games. What I think everybody's been the most scared of, and I got to be me included, is Arsenal don't seem to be conceding goals. And that's where it kind of makes you think, right, who's going to score against them? Like, I don't see them scoring loads of goals. I don't even see them being very threatening in open play. But I see them getting a lot of their defense is just I don't see when anyone scores against them, and then that's becoming now a problem. Like a lucky goal, a big free kick, like what we did. Like, yeah, maybe, but outside of that, you ain't scoring against Arsenal at the moment, and that's where I kind of thinking, how many points do they drop? How many games are they going to start dropping points? Because I don't think we can afford to be dropping any more points. We can't now go to a Man City and say, we'll take a draw. We can't take a draw. We need to beat them. You can't go to any of these big grounds now because we've given ourselves the harder side of it because we've got to go to the Etihad and win. We've got to go to Emirates and win. We've got to go to Old Trafford and win. Do you know what I mean? We've got to go and win on all these games now. We can't be sitting there saying a draw is all right because I don't think it's going to be enough to win us the league unless we win them.
That's perfect. Because we're running short on time, we'll touch on this briefly. And this section, and I say briefly, it's the dressing room dynamics and the fan sentiment. New blood versus old blood. There's been calls for Salah to be dropped in his spell. A lot of calls for him to be dropped. There was calls for Wirtz to stay in the team because he needs to get used to the speed of the Premier League. And if you spend that much money on him, you have to use him. I mentioned it earlier, and you corrected me, in terms of Isak. When Ekitike came in and was scoring pretty much every game, messes up, but then gets suspended. Isak comes in, but then Isak starts starting after him, and then we lose. In fact, our losing run started pretty much after that. Is there a case that we ride the storm and blood the new players now? Or, like you've said, and I'm pretty sure I know what the answer's going to be, we revert. We revert and we drip feed here and there so that we can actually be the team that's challenging Arsenal over the next few weeks again.
Can I play a little bit from... Sorry, buddy, go on.
No, go on.
I was going to play a little bit from the press conference this afternoon. It's a question relating to Florian Wirtz, so I did kind of cut it up. So just have a listen to this.
Game against Villa. Yeah. Just on Florian, obviously he's in the league, I think it's 3 of the last 4 he started on the bench and come on as a substitute, but it feels like this competition has been where he's maybe played his best football this season. How important is it for him to get a run of games in the Champions League as he sort of tries to find his feet at Liverpool?
Yeah, but you can say he started 1 out of the last 4. You can also say he started already 8, 9, 10, 11 games this season. So I've said this quite a lot, not being used as an excuse, but just tell how it is. That many times we've had to play 3 games in 7 days, only 2 days rest in between, for a player that comes from a different league, which is a very good league, by the way.
A minute and a half.
But I think 9 or 10 people would agree on the fact that the Premier League is a bit more intense, especially in all the games. In the top games are similar, but in all the games. So yeah, then if you look at that, then he already played a lot, and he's had his impact in many games, but has been unlucky with the end product, either by himself or by his teammates. But for me, he exactly brought what we expected, a player that can create a lot for the team, will have his goals as well. But I don't think it comes to a surprise to anyone that if you're 22, 23, you come from a different league, that you might need some time to adjust to that intensity if you play every 3 days with only 2 days rest in between. I think before I was sitting at Ryan Glaven, but I was sitting here, and it took him a while to adjust to the intensity, maybe even longer than it's going to take Florian.
And I think that's something that I have touched on a few times in terms of the kind of player that he is, the quality that he has, and whether he's going to be able to have the impact that we want him to have. Him, even players like Isaac, who struggled with injuries and the lack of pre-season. It took Gravenberch a whole season. It took, for me, Slobosly a whole season in terms of the expectation level. It took Fabinho 3 or 4 months. It took Robbo 3 or 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a number of different players that we can mention that it took them even under a different manager, although Firmino, it took him 5 or 6 months. You know, so this is a player that has got, for me, supreme quality. And I think that it's inevitable that he's going to produce for us, whether it's going to be at the back end of this season or the second half of this season or next season. But when he does, people are going to look at the quality and they're going to be like, yeah, this guy's a baller. You know, I don't look at players at his stature or at his kind of weight and think he can't hack the Premier League. I always go back to Juninho, you know, that player that played back in the day for Middlesbrough. Tiny youth, small player, but he had the quality. And because he had the quality, the physicality of the league, it didn't really matter. So over time, he is going to build up in terms of gym work and things like that. But overall, I don't think we're going to have a problem with him. I do think that we do need to drip feed the players and start with the likes of Robbo, start with the likes of Bradley, start with the midfield that we know, and then take it from there. So that's what I think we should do.
I think there is a need to bring in the older players and then bring in the players like Mr. Wolfer said. But I think, I was talking about this with one of my mates who came, who I saw recently. And we forget, I'm not, this is not an excuse, but it's a matter of fact. July it's not even 6 months ago.
Yeah.
He's lost an important person in that dressing room. When we talk about the dressing room, only not even 6 months ago. And we're expecting, it's like we don't talk about it because we've sort of moved on by it. But human nature is that's going to have an effect. And I don't think that's an effect as to why they're playing poorly and whatever the case is. But I was talking about this in the group, in a WhatsApp group, and it's like people wasn't really getting the gist of it. It's not necessarily to say that their physical form isn't going to be affected, but mentally, as people that we've all lost people, it's not within 3 months that you suddenly just go back to normal and life is the same, especially when it's someone that you're every day seeing and you can't get away from the of seeing them, because every time you come to work, you're seeing where they would have been.
Salah said he was scared. Salah said he was scared to go back.
Yeah, so for me personally, I think that he does need to go back to the basics, bring in Verts. I mean, for me, Verts can start playing games now. It's just about if you're playing Verts, it's not every game he needs to start, but I think he needs to start playing games now. There needs to be an understanding of, if he's going to be playing with a Ekatike or an Isak, that understanding of the front group and himself needs to be established. He needs to get games to establish that link. It may take until maybe January when that link happens. And don't forget, Salah's going African nations as well. So there's a whole load of things that will be affecting this season. But Verts, for me, needs to start playing games, definitely. I think we do need to start also bringing in Chiesa, because when Salah goes Nations Cup, we're going to be looking at who's going to be our right forward. That's the natural position for Chiesa.
Well, he's going to play, by the looks of it, he's going to play Frimpong. Because he said in one of the press conferences
why,
Frimpong's the only one that actually wants to play there. He says, I've got players that can play there, but Frimpong's the only one that actually wants to play there.
Which is why I was so upset and annoyed with the League Cup selection, because I'm not saying you play all your strong players, but there was an opportunity there to give some fringe players the chance to play and to give them minutes, and also to give players that were in the squad that needed to get confidence back the minutes to play against Palace. You need to get them the run out. You can't go into a game like that and put it aside, regardless of the competition, that is just going to, we got 3 games in whatever many days. If we was in a good run of form, would we put out the same lineup? I very much doubt it.
I think he was very much thinking about the Villa, Madrid, Man City movement, and I get it. I mean, you lost a game against Galatasaray where I suppose if we won that game, then the Madrid game just becomes like a free hit. Go have fun, enjoy yourself, win it, draw it, lose it. We're still going to qualify in the top 8, so I don't care. Now it's kind of come down to lose the game tomorrow, and not saying it's the end of the world because it's not, but it then becomes a little bit more difficult. You don't want to be having to play the additional game. We will qualify for the next round, but you don't want to play the additional game. You want to qualify quite comfortably, and that's where I suppose he'd be saying, let's win this game tomorrow against Madrid because of that. And then on top of that, you can't lose against Man City. Lose another game in the league. And I'm not saying, as much as Wolf will probably say the league season's done, I would say lose against Man City. Again, it's not done, but it now becomes even further away from what basically we could do. It just becomes very mightily hard. You're expecting a massive downfall from Arsenal and City at that point to get you back on track, but it's not impossible.
Sorry, King James, did you say that Salah said that he didn't want to come back, or he was scared to come back?
No, he was scared. After the death, he said when he first got back, he was scared to go back to training. Because obviously, you go back, and like all of us, you look forward to seeing your best friends. And that person's not there anymore. And you're looking in games. And we all said it, whenever he was injured, if Jota was playing today, he scores. Or if someone misses, if Jota was there, he scores. They're his friends. So if we're thinking that, then what are they thinking on the pitch?
Absolutely. When you look at what Klopp said, I don't know if you guys have watched the interview, Diary of an Entrepreneur, with Stephen Bartlett. It's very good. I recommend anybody to watch it. He mentioned that if it wasn't for Salah, he probably wouldn't have signed Jota. And I never knew that. And you know that when it comes to transfers, I try to get as much info as possible. So he said that Salah convinced him to sign Jota. So that tells me, that, Jota's loss, although it would have affected everybody a lot, when I think it was after the Bournemouth game, when he was applauding the fans, he was bawling his eyes out. You know what I mean? And you don't know how much this is affecting these guys, especially the likes of Salah, who is a human being just like all of us, who has emotions. And, I'm sure that they've got the best counsellors in the world, but still, I personally do think that has a part to play on his game and also on what's happened to the team as a whole. And you don't even need to know the player. You're coming into an environment, and I'm talking about the new players now, you're coming into an environment where there is sorrow and sadness, and obviously the people are going to try and pick up the team and try and play with happiness again, but at the end of the day, and I don't know, I might be reaching here as well. Sometimes I think that 20-minute applaud, it might put the players off. It might be putting them off.
The funny thing is, I don't make you wrong with that because you're going to be thinking about that at the time. But, I had to check myself. I've been very critical of Konate this season. I've been critical of Konate very, very vocally of his performances. But I forgot Konate and Jota were very close. Were they not? Was it not like at his wedding that was it him or was it Robertson? One of them was the best man. They were very close to him, and he took it very hard. I remember Konate took it very hard when Jota passed. I like I said, we're only in November now. This happened in July. I'm expecting, as a football fan, people to just deal with something like that where we've all had losses in our lives. Do we even get over it after a year? Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean? And it's not an excuse for the performances on the pitch. There's a number of different factors to it, but it's a factor. And to ignore the factor would be very disingenuous of anybody as a human being. Forget a football fan.
Yeah, very, very, very valid point. You going to say something, buddy?
No. I hear the somberness about the Jota side of things and how they might react to it. I do feel it has caused an effect on the team. I wouldn't want to give them the excuse, but I do understand the human nature of it to tell and say, you know what, you don't know how it's affecting people. Like just as a person, sometimes you're thinking of this person that's passed away or that person that's passed away that meant something in your life. You don't know how people are going to react to certain things. So I do also get the human side of it. Outside of that, the human side of it, I look at us tactically sometimes. I just think to myself, there's been just too many mistakes, too many stupid things that I think to myself that have gone past. Like I said, we discussed earlier on. We're struggling in midfield. It looks lost. Why don't you put on a certified defensive midfielder and try and shore that up? Why have we not turned and realised to ourselves, you know what? Let's chuck Gomez on at right back because he's a little bit more solid than what Bradley would be or Frimpong would be. So let's do that. Let's put the more experienced left back on because he's used to playing with Van Dijk and understands Van Dijk, so maybe it might work a little bit better. He's the Scottish captain. Makes sense. No, we're not going to do that. No, we're not going to do that. And it's like you even down to some of the games that we was up 2-0 in. I noticed. I don't know if again, Wolf will probably say it's my superstition, but every one of them games we took off Ekitike. And every time we took him off, we conceded the goals. And I was like, bro, please don't take him off. Like, I'm done with you taking you off. He's a forward line. He's a striker. While Isak isn't fit or isn't playing, why have you taken him off and now left yourself and said, let's put Wirtz in the middle or let's put Chiesa in the middle?
He had to, though.
He's a winger.
He had to, though. I was thinking the same thing. And then I saw a clip of Ekitike when Onana was trying to strangle and body slam McAllister. Ekitike was stretching out on the post. Both calves, hamstring, everything. And Slot has mentioned it in press conferences, the physicality and the speed of the Premier League, he's not ready for it yet. His body's not built for it yet. If he doesn't sub him, he's going to injure him. And now we've only got one. He has no choice but to take him.
And that's fair enough.
I would have probably put on Chiesa, in all honesty. Put Chiesa left wing, put Gakpo centre forward. We know he has done it before. And it's probably a better option, but it's Slot. He's won a Premier League title. Who am I to tell him, do this instead of doing that kind of thing? That's what we do. That's what we're doing right now. So, last point before we finish up. The major changes that you want to see, we've touched on it, so we'll be brief. We've got a run of Man City, Real Madrid, Man City, both extremely tough games. I'm not expecting 2 wins from both, but it'll be fantastic if we do. We did it last year. Hopefully, God's going to shine on us and we're going to get the same results last year, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. But after that, we play Nottingham Forest at Anfield. I'm one that says we should not lose games at Anfield. It should always be a win. PSV at Anfield. West Ham away. They've been shocking. Sunderland at Anfield and then Leeds. With that run of games, and if we focus on the Premier League, Forest, West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds, how many points do you expect or believe we should get?
Max.
We should get 12. We should get 12. I think we might get 10. And I think the outlier is going to be West Ham. West Ham, the funny thing is I expected West Ham to win yesterday because Nuno going in, I knew he would get the changes. And we always seem to suffer that new manager bounce. When we play a team with a new manager coming in, something happens. And this isn't the West Ham that had Graham Potter. This is the West Ham that now have a structure and a style of play. So I would expect 10, but I would expect 12, but realistically, I think we're likely to get 10. That West Ham game is the one game I think we'll probably draw with.
Funny enough, the West Ham
is that
game,
Sunderland game at home?
The West Ham game
yes,
is the one where we've actually won that fixture. We've won a lot of games against West Ham. So as much as I do hear and understand what you're saying, again, if we're going to be champions, I expect to us, or even close to fighting for it, I expect us to win that game. So I'm not going to say that at all. The new manager bounce again. You got that same thing going on with Forest because they've got Sean Dyche in. So again, that's going to be tougher than we would like it to be. But again, I'd expect us to win them. I expect us to win all the games. Leeds, that should be a given. If that's at home, did you say, King James?
Away,
home or away? It's against Leeds. And then I look at the other game you said. What was the other game?
Sunderland, Anfield.
It's at Anfield.
Just before Leeds.
Yeah. So yeah, again, if it's at Anfield, I'm a bit more confident again. So I don't expect to lose any games at Anfield. So I'm going with a 12. I want to be buoyant and say definite. I'm quite confident. I'm quietly confident is what I would say. But again, set pieces have been our downfall, and it really depends on how how we play against Madrid, how we play against Man City, and then I'll be able to say to you, these next 4 games, we should breeze through them, and hopefully at that point put some pressure on whoever's at the top of that point. I say whoever, and I know who it is. But...
Yeah. I mean, I think that the difficulty will come from Sean Dyche and Espirito Santo with Forest and West Ham. I do think that because of the style of play and the fact that we are struggling with the long balls. Just looking back on those goals, like I have done in the last couple of days, it's just like, wow, you know what's coming, and you're not really, it's crazy. You're watching what is going to happen, and then it just happens. Against Brentford, and then against Crystal Palace, and then people forget the 2 Newcastle goals. One punt from Pope, just right over the top. That was a set play. It was a free kick, and then the long throw. And then I think it came out, and then it was pumped back in, and then Guimaraes done the header, and that was exactly the same thing that happened against Man United when that person got the win. Do you know what I mean?
Who did Guimaraes beat in the air?
He beat Kirkes.
That's one of the only ones, though. He's been good.
He beat Kirkes, and then the other ones have been the fullbacks. It's all the fullbacks. Far post, getting beaten. So in terms of those games, I think that we'll win them. I really do. I think that we'll win all of those games.
See, one of the things you just said, right, about the fullbacks, which is slightly annoying, and I was at the game, the Southampton Liverpool one in the Carling Cup, and we lost Leone for the season. That injury was really critical to our season. And I was watching it, and I was like, just anyone else, don't be Leone. And he had a great game that game. And I saw how much of a great player he can become. And it was quite sad because it now also took away the fact of you play Gomez as a right back, you now have no centre backs. So Konate goes down or Van Dijk go down, wish it not. You're now looking at it saying, well, we ain't got no one. So I see why you can't now play Gomez as a right back just to solidify your team. So me, again, I'm not a manager, but I would probably risk it only because I'm thinking to myself, I want the results. He's looking at it long-term thinking, you can't play all your centre-backs and give yourself no quality centre-backs if an emergency comes up. So I see the reasons not to play Gomez as well. So I sit on the fence with it because I do feel like, especially when you're saying we're battling with throw-ins, etc., and then you're going to put, and Frimpong's injured at the moment, you're going to put Frimpong on or you're going to put Bradley on, and even Kirkes. Why are you not putting on a Gomez to tell and say solidify that area? That's the reason why that injury there, that Leone injury, massive for us.
That's part of the reason, yeah. But for me, I agree with that, by the way, buddy. But for me, it's 12 points from those games. Against City, I'll be happy with a point. I've got to be honest. Just judging by the way that they're playing, judging by the way that we're playing, and even if we get 13 points from those games, we're not going to win the league. Right?
Wow.
So, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, man. We ain't. And I'll be more than happy. And when I say more than happy, to have egg all over my face, I just know what the requirements are to win the league. Can things happen? Can differences happen? Yes. But we would have to go practically throughout the rest of the season without losing more than one more game. More than one more game. Is it possible? It probably is. But then you're also relying on us taking points off Arsenal at the Emirates and maybe another team beating them, which is possible. But just judging by the way that we are, I just can't see it. You can't lose 4 games before November and then expect to win the league. It just doesn't happen. And especially when I say it doesn't happen, it's never happened before. So it's not like, this is just something that's come out of the blue. This has never happened before.
But you say that.
It'll be nice. It'll be nice that we're the first team to do it. And I think anything can happen in the world of football. We've seen that a number of different times. But I just personally can't see it, especially with the fact that, those bastard arse nuts, as I call them.
The joke is, And
We are not
the
conceding any goals.
joke is, Wolf, right? Our points tally, I believe, is 1 point higher than what it was last season when we won the league. So that's.
But then you're looking at the opponents, and that's the thing. Is like the opponents have improved, and I'm talking about the opponent being Arsenal. And when you're looking at the Mourinho team, 2005, how many goals did they concede? I think it was a record 13.
Let's not broach that. Too many people are talking about that being a possibility.
Because it's 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 2-0, 2-0. And to be fair, we done that a lot last season, and we done that a lot in the Klopp League title season. Pure 1-0s that we were watching the games together. Why can't we need the second? We need the second, but we never got the second. But we won the game 1-0. You know, so I'm hoping that they fall short, but you know, I personally can't see it happening.
I think we can win the league.
Thank you. Positivity.
No. Of course we can.
End it on a positive.
I think that we can as well.
End it on a positive.
I don't think that we will. I don't think that we will. I want to ask you, do you think that we will?
Right. So this is my answer.
Mm-hmm.
In order for us to win the league, we will have to beat Man City next week. If we don't beat Man City next week, I think it becomes about at least 80%, 20% of us not winning the league. If we beat Man City next week, I think and the thing is, you're still going to be behind Arsenal. But I think if we beat Man City next week, or Sunday coming, should I say, I think we got a chance still to win it. But it means everything has to go perfectly. Now, it's difficult because of where we are and what we've done and the spell we've had. But let's not also over-catastrophize it. It's a spell we've had. Mm-hmm. Prior to that spell, not to say we were playing great, but we were having a winning spell. Things can change very quickly in football where we can also still go on a run and have a winning spell. Let's not forget about last season and the team of players that are there. There's a team of players there, or there's still a core group of players who have gone through winning runs a long time and have done it consistently. The issue we have right now, though, is we don't have our first choice keeper. We don't have cover for Konate. For me, the big problem we have right now is not having Alisson in goal. That Alisson injury for me is really integral because you can see how Mamardashvili, how he's a shot stopper, but he's not a confidence builder in the defence. Even though he plays the high line, he doesn't play football and become a sweeper. He doesn't. If you look at the goal we conceded against Brentford, the second goal, I think Alisson comes out further and makes that save, rather than Mamardashvili coming back into the goal and then going forward. And I think Alisson probably even saves it, but that's a conversation for another day. I don't want to open that can of worms. But I believe we can win it. I believe we can win it still.
No, but do you believe that we will win it?
I'm going to go and put something on in the shop because I said that last season and I got it right. So I'm actually going to put money where my mouth is and say I'm going to back my team to win it.
Well done.
Okay. Well, I wanted to end on a positive. Wileycat has. So, to summarize, we're happy now. Happier now than we were last week, for sure. We believe, again, we've got a nice run of games coming up. And we're now trusting Slot to
after Real
fix up.
Madrid,
After Real Madrid. No, but they're still nice games. I didn't say easy. We've got a nice run of games coming up. And then
it's
we've
going
got
to
an
be
easier
the best
run.
hate watch for these guys for the next two games, boy. Trust me. They're going to be there with their popcorn watching those games.
Oh, for real. For real. But hopefully, a lot of the doom and gloom will be gone by this time next week. And we'll be looking forward to the run of fixtures that all of us believe we'll get at least 10 to 12 points from. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, DJ Wileycat. Thank you, Buddy. Thank you, Mr. Wolf. It has been a pleasure. And I think we've come to an agreement, really, that things aren't as bad as the media and some fans are making it out to be. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification button. It's Armchair Pundits. Peace out.